Tony Bennett's daughter shares influence Frank Sinatra had on her. Tony Bennett's musician daughter is happily following in his footsteps and was lucky enough to grow up under another famous musician's influence. Antonia Bennett shared a core memory of her childhood with Fox News Digital and explained how profound it was to have legendary musicians like Frank Sinatra and Bill Evans coming in and out of her home during her formative years. "I think one of the most meaningful things for me is just that there were so many great artists around when I was growing up, that right on time," singer told Fox News Digital. "There were writers and dancers and actors and great singers, and being in Los Angeles in the late 70s and early 80s, there were still a lot of great singers around." She continued, "They lived within walking distance of our house. Rosemary Clooney, Mel Torme, Frank Sinatra. All of these people lived within a very close proximity of each other. It was a really special time, and when I was very little, my dad was making a record with Bill Evans, so he was at the house a lot, and there was always just great people around." Bennett said that having Sinatra in her childhood home was really normal, because he was a close friend of her father and mother, Sandra, so she didn't really know any different. "What I did start to realize is that the group in general, that the whole group, that it was special, that they were special at what they did," Bennett said of her parents' friends. She continued, "Allowances were always made. I remember growing up, we always would open presents on Christmas Eve and my mom would say, 'Well, you know, Santa Claus knows that your father is an entertainer and that he works at night, so he shows up in the evening.' It just seemed kind of normal. Even Santa was making an allowance for my father's job, so I just kind of got used to it." Bennett is venturing into a solo jazz career of her own. Bennett is to perform at the Catalina Jazz Club in Los Angeles on November 19th. She is also set to release her new single, Right on Time. She shared with Fox News Digital the best advice she received from her late father that ended up trickling into her own music career. "When using the word, love, to make sure that you mean it," Bennett recalled her late father, Tony Bennett, used to tell her. "He's said so many meaningful things to me over the years, and I think the most meaningful thing for me wasn't really what he said, but it was an action. It's how he conducted himself, and that, in a way, is like the greatest advice I ever got," Bennett told Fox News Digital. Bennett continued, "Even though he didn't give it to me, he was always very supportive. So, he didn't really give a lot of advice per se. Like, he didn't say, 'Oh, you should do this or that.' I mean, sometimes we would get together, and he would say, 'Let me look at your repertoire. What songs are you doing? Maybe you should think about singing the song.' He was so supportive. He really taught me more by just being and doing, and being able to watch and observe him was really the greatest gift that he gave me."